Welcome to part 2 of Local Woman Missing. We shared part 1 last week, so if you're confused, go back and watch that. I'm here for part 2. If you've already read the book and decide to DNF, I'll tell you how it ends. What are other good reasons to be here? I'm blinking now.
DNF always sounds like
sexual. I
DTF.
This is Adam.
Hi.
He's the husband.
I am the husband.
This is Kayla. She's the wife. I'm Debbie. I'm the third wheel.
She's the friend.
And this is Debbie.
Just a friend. And this is Debbie. Okay, so where we left off, do you actually remember?
No, but I will when you tell me. Like, give me.
So.
Oh, okay. So there's all right, it's all coming. It's all coming back. It's all coming back to me now. Just cut that out and put that clip in right there.
Okay.
Or both.
Okay. So 4 mysteries. Gus locked up in a basement with Delilah. Delilah locked up in a basement. 2 kids. Why are they locked up? How did they get there? I spare you the details. Don't ask. Move on. Shelby goes out for a run. Realize she's meeting up with her lover. And goes missing. We don't know where she is. Meredith, Delilah's mom, goes missing. The same night, Meredith goes missing. No, sorry, Delilah goes missing. Delilah, we know where she is because she escapes because she's a baddie. Meredith, we know, dies of self-harm. But we don't know. We just
the middle part of like.
There's no connection yet. Much. There's not much connection.
We do know that these two are connected, Shelby and Meredith, because Shelby just gave birth and Meredith is her doula.
Okay, Gus.
And we don't know much about Gus, but we hope him well.
Okay, so where we left off, Kate had just gone to see the OB, who is Shelby's OB. And we know that there was some potential patient mistreatment. We also know that the delivery was pretty bad.
Traumatic.
Yeah, to the point that Shelby is suing her OB and Meredith is to testify because she's the doula. She was there. Okay, so Kate, who's the next door neighbor, has been canvassing, trying to figure out this mystery, figures out the connection. So she goes to the OB to see if she can just gain more intel, to see if she can.
Thank goodness for the Kates of the world, because I would be like, oh, I wonder where they are. Next.
That's a weird coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love Kate. Okay, so the visit to the doctors is not pleasant. Like, he's kind of just straight to the point, gruff. Like, no, like, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing. He just does it. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of like she feels like violated. But not.
A little invasive.
Yes. Kate asks the OB, I hear good things about doulas. Do you know anything about these doulas? And gives him a list with Meredith on there. And he's like, well, I've worked with these 2 and they seem really good, but I don't know Meredith. So do that.
And she knows that's wrong.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So things are tense because Bay's like, not only did you use your real name, you used our actual address and you basically admitted that you know Meredith is connected to him, and as they're driving home, they're being followed. Okay, and it's super rainy outside, and they're driving pretty quickly up on them, and it's a super tense part. But then they turn into the police station, and the car drives off. So it's kind of like a
smart
left
resolved.
Yeah, for now. Okay, then we go into details of the birth with Shelby, and I'll save you the details. But I do know he used forceps to get the baby out, which can cause damage to the baby. So that's why Shelby and her husband, Jason, not Tim. Jason.
His last name's Tebow, so we were calling him Tim Tebow.
Because they couldn't remember his name, but it's Jason. That's why they're suing, because, I mean, one, if nothing else, to have money to help this baby.
Yeah. Right?
Before the delivery, Jason is talking with Meredith because Shelby's asleep, and he mentioned something like, I know Shelby's going to leave me. I know she's cheating on me. I just don't want to lose this baby. He
mentions this to who?
To Meredith.
Okay.
Okay, so we knew Shelby was cheating at the beginning, but we didn't think Jason knew. Now we know Jason knows. But also, remember, Shelby's body was found. We know she was murdered.
Yes.
So it's a big question mark of who. Is it a jealous husband? Is it this OB who wants this lawsuit to go
Is it
away?
the guy she was cheating with?
Yep. We don't know. Okay. We also know that the OB threatens Meredith because he's being sued, and he's like, "Hey, if they go through with this, I will ruin your career." Okay.
Dang.
Now this is pertinent because remember, Meredith has been receiving threatening texts.
Yeah.
And so she's like, "Is it this OB? Like, we don't know where these texts are coming from, but it definitely is like putting her on edge."
Right.
Okay. So we find out little nuggets of information. I was dying because I read like 60% of the book. And last time we were like, this is like good background information. The second half is going to be like where all the meat is. And I shit you not, the chapter I ended on was like background information. And then after I gave, and I like the first chapter, it was like, wham, bam, 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 bam. I was like, oh my gosh, so much information all at once. So it's going to be wham, bam, bam for the next little bit. Okay.
Ready.
We find out Jason is in jail for Shelby's murder. They found her bloody clothes in the garbage behind his work.
Does he deny it?
Yes. But, I mean, proof is
pretty damning evidence.
Right? Okay. We also find out he's not.
The other boy? The other boy is? Why was that so funny and so childish? The other boy?
Find out what happened to Shelby, but we don't really know why.
Right.
We also find out, so Meredith lived across the street from Cassandra.
Okay.
Did I tell you any of that?
I don't think so. I don't remember Cassandra. Maybe I do.
Okay. Cassandra lives across the street, has a daughter named Piper who's really good friends with Delilah. They play all the time.
Yes.
Cassandra is married to Marty. Meredith and Marty were together in college.
I remember.
And they actually had a miscarriage. So they were like together, like in love together. Okay. But they never told either of their prospective partners. So it was kind of just this like secret in the air.
Weird. Yeah.
Well, Cassandra finds out because she's looking through an old photo album and sees that they're chumming together.
Okay.
So Cassandra confronts Meredith.
And
is like, I know that my husband's cheating on me, and I know that he's cheating with you. And Meredith is not cheating on Josh.
So he's cheating. Okay.
And so she's like, nope, it's not me. Whatever you think, it's not that. Well, Cassandra doesn't believe her.
Sure.
And is like, either you tell Josh or I do. And as Meredith is leaving, she says, hope ye rot in hell.
Wow.
Which is the text she receives. So Meredith is like, it's been you this whole time.
Oh, really?
You're the one that's
was
been
Cassandra?
texting me. Okay.
All right.
So that situation is that question mark is a little bit resolved. We find out it's Cassandra. We find out why. And Meredith plans to tell Josh, takes him to dinner. But, I mean, it's their first time out. They're being romantic. It's just not the right time. So she decides not to tell him. Okay. I'm going to pause there for a second.
Okay.
They are on a date, but I'm going to pause there. We also find out that Eddie and Martha are the ones that kidnapped Delilah. And they find her.
Martha?
Mm-hmm.
You kidnapped Delilah?
Mm-hmm. I think you're thinking of the wrong character. Who do you think it is?
Wait, what are the ladies' names again? I thought Martha was one of the...
Eddie and Martha?
Who are the main ladies? Who's the doula?
Meredith.
Meredith! Okay. I was thinking that Meredith kidnapped Delilah.
What a plot twist.
Oh my gosh, that's why I was so...
That's what I was like, I don't think you're thinking of the right person.
Yeah, Martha? What? Got it. Meredith did not do any kidnapping.
No, Martha, okay?
Martha and Eddie.
They find the house, and the house is empty. They don't know where Eddie and Martha are.
And Gus is gone?
And Gus is gone. Yep.
Aww.
In hypnotherapy, we find out Gus is made up.
Oh.
It was like a coping mechanism for
Delilah.
So there's no Gus. So that mystery
is solved. At least there is no Gus. At least I don't have to be worried about poor Gus.
Yep.
And Eddie and Martha never get caught?
Oh. We still got
some book to go.
25% left. Okay. Now, remember, we're bouncing between different like timelines, different perspectives.
Yep.
I'm just giving you nuggets of information.
Sure.
Okay, so in Kate's perspective, we find out that there was blood found in Meredith's garage,
Okay.
but it's not Delilah's, and it's not Meredith's, and it's not anybody in the database.
Whoa.
They don't know whose it is, where it came from,
Meredith.
how it got there. Okay, so something happened. Shortly thereafter, they find Meredith's car a few towns over in a motel,
Okay.
and she is found dead from self.
Meredith?
Yeah.
She killed herself?
Yes. We did already know this, remember? Because
I knew the self-harm thing.
Yeah. So she just got a motel.
But why? We never find out why.
I mean, she's dead. Are you going to ask the dead?
But what would her reasoning be? She didn't kill herself. It's got to be the OB. Continue.
I think you're right. Okay, so we're gonna go back to that date night. Okay, they're feeling good. They're getting drunk. Kate and Beatrice, the neighbors, show up because it's Bee's birthday, and they're like, "Hey, neighbors, join us!" They all hang out. They're dancing, having a good time. It gets to like the end of the night, and Josh is like, "We should go," and he wants to rendezvous, but also he has work tomorrow. Kate's a veterinarian and has a big surgery the next day, so she's like, "Yeah, I really gotta go." But Beatrice is like, "Come on, it's my birthday. Like, it's our one night out. Like, let's just stay a little bit longer." So Meredith is like, "How about you guys go, and we stay a little bit longer, and then we'll come home later. We'll keep celebrating. You guys go be boring, responsible adults." So they stay.
So Meredith and Beatrice stay.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, no, Josh and Kate
go home.
Okay.
They're dancing, having a good time. The night ends. They're headed home. They're definitely tipsy. They definitely drive under the influence. Remember when Shelby was tying her shoe and a car came up?
Aww.
Guess who was the car?
It was who was there again? Beatrice and Meredith.
Beatrice.
They
and
killed
Meredith.
Shelby. Oh.
Yep. And they know that they're going to be in trouble because they're drunk.
Yeah.
And so they hide the body. And they take her clothes to make it look like it was like.
And they frame Jason? Tim?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Low blow.
Yep.
But we still don't think Meredith killed herself, right? Or did she because of the guilt of that? Okay.
I know. Okay. So Beatrice from the beginning was like, "Oh my gosh, we messed up. We got to cover this. Like, I don't want to go to jail. I'm going to lose Kate.
Right.
You're going to lose your family. Like, we have to pretend like this never happened. Like, we can't talk about this ever again." And Meredith is like, "No, like, we got to call the cops. Like, if there's any chance that she's still alive, like, we got to like save her." But Beatrice is very like persuasive. You're good. It's funny we both had our hands there. Anyway, so Meredith was never super comfortable with the plan.
Okay.
And the days after, she's definitely cracking under pressure. She's definitely feeling the guilt, definitely feeling the weight of it. She's looked up like all possible scenarios. Could she have still been awake? Could she just is feeling, right? And Beatrice can tell that she's cracking under pressure. So she's told her a couple of times. I wish the camera was on your face.
I hope Beatrice doesn't kill Meredith to keep her quiet. Anyway.
Remember the OB, though?
Does Beatrice and the OB meet up to murder?
No.
Just kidding.
To murder? Continue. Hey, you want to go murder?
Hey, I don't like this lady. Neither do you. Let's handle business.
Okay, so Beatrice has like been in contact with Meredith a couple times, like, "Hey, you gotta act normal. Hey, I saw you skip work. Like, you're gonna make it look suspicious. You should be going to work," right? They've had a few of these interactions. So there's one day that Leo goes to the daycare, but Delilah stays home because she was sick. That's all true. Okay, so Delilah's home. Meredith skips work because Delilah's sick. That whole thing pans out, and she goes to her car to get her purse that she left in the garage, and Beatrice is there and confronts her.
Oh.
And Meredith is like, "What we did was wrong. We got to call the cops. We're obviously sober now. There's no way they can like breathalyze us. We're not going to get charged with a DUI. Like, it'll just be a like misdemeanor. And Beatrice is like, no.
It'd be hit and run, homie.
Yeah, exactly. And we moved the body and we buried her. Like, no, like we're in way too deep. And so Meredith is like, okay, I'll just say I did it, and I'll say that you were drunk and you were passed out in the back seat. Like, you don't have to worry about anything. And Beatrice is like, no, there's no way you could have moved her body. Like, they would have known you had an accomplice. Like, no, your plan is flawed. Like, it's not going to work out. Okay. And Beatrice can tell that Meredith is like this close to turning in. Okay. So she hears Delilah say something. So she turns around to see Delilah. And when she turns around, Beatrice hits her with a hammer in the head.
I knew Beatrice did it.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know that until later.
Okay. So Meredith
Beatrice
wakes up in the car, realizes, like, remembers what's happening, has no idea where her daughter is.
Wait a minute. All right, continue. If it was self-harm, would they not notice the massive, like, gash on the back of her head? Okay.
Okay. So Beatrice drives her to the motel, says, go to the clerk, pay for this room in cash, ask for X amount of days, say that you don't want maid service. And then they go, and she tries to make it look like a suicide, but Meredith is fighting back. So she just stabs her in the chest.
Jeez.
Okay. The way she does it does make it look like it's self-harm, but we later find out it's not self-harm. It's actual murder. Okay.
Wow.
And that's where we'll end Meredith's story.
Okay.
Okay.
Adios, Meredith.
She died. She was just the wrong place, wrong time. Her conscience got the better of her, and Beatrice got the better of her.
And poor Josh. He didn't do nothing wrong.
And who's in jail for this.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. So then we go to Leo's perspective. Leo is at school, and Piper, who is Delilah's best friend growing up, comes up and says, hey, I was looking through some of my old things, and I found a picture of me and Delilah. It's interesting that when she was a kid, she had a cleft chin. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Cleft chin. But in the pictures they've posted in the news, it's gone.
What? Okay.
Delilah's not really Delilah. She's actually a girl named Carly who disappeared a week later. And Eddie and Martha were doing like a copycat kidnapping. And they just made her believe that her name was Delilah because Delilah was getting national attention. Carly was getting no attention. So anytime they got the like newspaper, it was like, oh, look, bragging about it. So
sick freaks.
I know. So Carly is going to go to her real house. They find her real parents. And when she's packing up her stuff, she escapes.
Why?
I don't actually know.
Carly.
Okay. So then the cops were there. Leo's there. And Josh is there. And so then they're like, well, frick, like she's missing again. Like what is happening? And obviously Josh is heartbroken because he wanted his daughter back. And the cops knew that. And so the cop that got a little chummy with him was like, I can't break his heart and tell him that this isn't his daughter.
Oh.
I'm just going to say that it's his daughter because no one will ever know. No one will be the wiser. Okay?
Bad call, cop. Bad call.
She's definitely in trouble for that. So they go next door to Kate and Beatrice and they're like, hey, she got out. Like, can we like search your property? She can't have gone far. Like it wasn't very long before we like realized she was up there too long, suspiciously. So they're obviously like, yeah, like go, check the backyard, whatever. Okay. And they see the garage. Okay.
They find something implicating Beatrice.
Okay. Beatrice is a musician. And so their garage was turned into like a sound studio.
Sure.
And she has all this expensive equipment that's always locked. And so the cops like try to open it and they're like, hey, we need the key. Like we just have to like do our due diligence to check everywhere.
Yeah.
And Beatrice is like, well, I mean, nothing's going to be in there. The door's been locked, but let me go get the key. Right. She doesn't come back.
Beatrice bails.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Bad call, Beatrice.
She runs. So the cops break down the door. And it's a sound studio. But there's a little attic. That's where Delilah has been for the last 11 years.
Beatrice kidnapped Delilah?
Because she saw Beatrice hit Meredith in the head with a hammer.
Oh, that was timelines. That's right. Okay.
I know. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So 11 years ago, let me get this straight. 11 years ago, Beatrice hit Meredith and stabbed Meredith because Meredith wanted to go to the police about hitting Shelby with the car.
Mhm.
Right. In the act of doing so, Delilah saw Beatrice doing that, so Beatrice kidnapped Delilah, locked her in the sound studio. She's been there for. It's probably soundproof because it's a music recording studio, and she's been there for the last 11 years. Did Kate know anything? Kate never knew.
Mhm.
And then the girl who was actually kidnapped was Carly, who was kidnapped by some freaks, Eddie and Martha, who wanted the fame of like, oh, we kidnapped this famous person. And we don't ever know. Do we learn more about Eddie and Martha?
We don't learn more about Eddie and Martha, but they do find Eddie and Martha because they return to the house sometime later. So they arrest Eddie and Martha. They are in jail. Carly does return to her family, so she's able to get her happy ending. Beatrice is obviously in jail. Jason is released from jail, but it's such a bummer for Jason because he lost his wife. He lost the child he thought was his that's not his because now the child's living with their dad.
Right.
And so Jason's released, was in jail for 11 years for no reason, and now has what to come home to. So that's heartbreaking.
So, but does Delilah go back to? They find Delilah in the sound studios.
Yep. So Delilah's reunited with Leo and Josh, so they're able to have their happy ending. And Kate, the story ends with Kate saying, "I'm still waiting for mine," because she just had her whole life turned upside down. Who she was married to is not who she thought. She's been unknowingly keeping this child locked on her premises. Like, she just has a lot to grapple with. But that's the end.
And bad call, Beatrice. You just thought that, like, hey, I'm going to keep a child in my sound studio locked up, and no one, especially my wife, is never going to find out. Like,
yeah, I mean, she was successful for 11 years.
That's a commitment.
I know.
I mean, you better soon just off them.
I know. I mean, Delilah was definitely better taken care of than Carly.
Okay.
She wasn't necessarily neglected. I mean, she was well fed. She was happy. She had, like, they went upstairs and there was like art supplies and books and things for her to do. So at least there's that. But she was still locked in a tiny little above the garage apartment.
And we never found out what happened to the OB.
Never find out what happened to the OB. Never find out who chased them after the OB.
Oh, okay.
Never find out who Shelby was cheating with. Never find out who Grace's dad is. Never find out who Marty was cheating with. But you kind of assume Shelby and Marty were cheating together.
Oh, okay.
But also, if Grace is living with her dad now, they would have mentioned Piper's younger sister? You know, they never mentioned that. So that's a question mark I have. And remember when Delilah, we now know as Carly, was hiding in the shed, and Eddie asks Martha, like, hey, did you
take care of it or whatever? And
she's like, yeah, it's taken care of. And we assume she meant Gus. Now that we know Gus doesn't exist, what was she taking care of?
Right.
We don't know.
Weird.
So there's a lot of question marks I have with this story that maybe they were just little breadcrumbs that I was supposed to pick up on and I didn't. But anyway, Beatrice the whole time.
Beatrice, you scoundrel.
Yeah.
Should have known better. And there we have it. Local woman missing.
Now we know why it's woman.
Yeah.
Because it all started with the Shelby situation.
So they are all connected after all.
Mm-hmm.